The Little Bakery on Main Street. There was a small bakery on Main Street. Its name was Sunny Bakery. Every morning, the smell of fresh bread filled the air. People loved to stop by, especially at breakfast time. The owner of the bakery was Mrs. Rose. She was kind and cheerful. Mrs. Rose had worked at the bakery for 15 years. She woke up every day at 4 a.m. to bake bread, cakes, and cookies. Her favorite recipe was sourdough bread because it reminded her of her grandmother. Inside the bakery, there were three large ovens, a wooden table, and shelves full of ingredients like flour, sugar, butter, and eggs. The walls were painted yellow, and a small bell rang every time someone opened the door. One morning, a boy named Leon came to the bakery with his mother. Leon loved the smell of chocolate cake. He looked at the counter and saw a big, round chocolate cake with a cherry on top. "Can we buy it, Mom?" Leon asked. His mother smiled. "Of course. Let's share it with your little sister at home." While Mrs. Rose baked the cake, Leon watched her closely. He saw how she carefully placed the cake in a box. Then he asked, "Mrs. Rose, can I learn how to bake bread?" Mrs. Rose laughed. "Of course, Leon. Come tomorrow morning, and I will teach you." The next day, Leon arrived at the bakery at 6 a.m. Mrs. Rose gave him an apron and showed him how to mix the flour, water, yeast, and salt. Leon was excited to knead the dough with his hand. "Why do we need the dough?" Leon asked. "To make the bread soft and fluffy," Mrs. Rose explained. After letting the dough rise, they shaped it into loaves and put it in the oven. The bakery smelled even better than before. By 8 a.m., the bread was ready. Leon took his first bite of the bread he made. "It's delicious," he said with a big smile. Mrs. Rose nodded. "You did a great job, Leon." From that day on, Leon visited the bakery every weekend to bake with Mrs. Rose. He learned how to make cookies, cakes, and different kinds of bread. Leon's favorite was still the chocolate cake with a cherry on top. As the weeks passed, more people came to Sunny Bakery. They loved the bread and desserts that Leon helped bake. Mrs. Rose was happy because her little bakery was now busier than ever. One day, Mrs. Rose said, "Leon, I think you will be a great baker when you grow up." Leon smiled. "Thank you, Mrs. Rose. Maybe I will have my own bakery someday." And so, Sunny Bakery became more than a place to buy bread. It became a place where dreams started and where people smiled as they enjoyed fresh, warm treats. The end.